Hey everybody, this is Jay Kokorowski, senior writer at BadgerBlitz.com. Of course, your home for all things Wisconsin Badgers football, recruiting, and basketball, so much more. And this is our first ever, actually. I'm pretty excited for this right now. We have, don't mind me right there. If you hear a little bit of feedback, I apologize. Our first ever live stream after a game. And so Wisconsin 52-3 over Rutgers, a huge blowout win, a game that got out of hand in the first half alone. And so in looking at that, Wisconsin 31-0 lead at halftime, then goes on to 21 points in the third quarter, and they hold on, of course, for the 49-point victory. Again, this is going to be, we're going to have some fun with this, and we're going to have a little bit, I'm going to enjoy this too, because what we're going to be doing is we want your comments on this. We want your live stream on here. I'm putting up, if you're wondering why I may be rambling a bit, I'm doing some live stream post game. I am typing right now and whatnot. So what we'll do, we're going to get into this game. Let us know what you want out of this post-game live stream too, because we want to make sure this is the best experience for everybody here on Badger Blitz. And we're going to do some takeaways, some observations, some key stats, players of the game, and then also on top of that, just what to expect for next week. And obviously there may be some things, I think big things are going to be injuries to Chaz Malusi, to Jack Nelson, are two big names that just come off the top of my head with those injuries suffered against Rutgers and Piscataway earlier today. But for that matter, taking a look, let's just dive into this, right? So let's start off with the offense first, right? That was a big thing. They put together 45 points of the 45 of the 52 points for Wisconsin. Big game there. 579 total yards. You have, on top of that, it was a pretty intense game for Wisconsin when it came to just the amount of yards. They put up 579. It was turned into a balanced effort, right? 305 yards rushing on 6 yards per carry. On top of that, 274 yards passing, which we're getting to Graham Mertz's big day for that matter. Third down conversion, obviously Wisconsin was under 30% coming into this season, right? Coming into this game for the year. And so Wisconsin gets that, they go over 50% there. At one point they were 6 of 9 on third downs when Graham Mertz was in, but then also the time of possession, they were over 37 minutes. They dominated the time of possession against Rutgers. A big win. Everything came together for Wisconsin. This is what we all kind of thought Wisconsin's offense could be when it has a running attack and then the complementary passing attack. We know Wisconsin likes to run the bread and butter with the running game, but you have Danny Davis. You have, on top of that, Danny Davis and Kendrick Pryor. They had big games. Chimere Dike had a big game as well, for that matter. And let's get into those stats for that matter. And Raul Vasquez is down in Piscataway. You'll already have my takeaways up on BadgerBlitz.com, so make sure you guys go there. Make sure you go to, we also have grades and game balls up on the site in the verbal form. We'll get kind of be similar here on this live stream, but let's kind of dive into, we'll dive into more in terms of the standouts. These are kind of mine. If they were to get game balls, quarterback Graham Mertz, his best game of the year. And if you guys go to BadgerBlitz.com, if you looked at our pre-snap read and even on our all-out blitz, I kind of mentioned that I thought Wisconsin would have a good chance this week against Rutgers' passing attack. Rutgers came in allowing 12 touchdown passes in the last 4 games leading up to this game. Graham Mertz had 3 of them today. He did have that early first quarter interception. 11 of 16, 240 yards. Really solid effort. A couple balls you want back as a quarterback, but isn't that what you always think for every quarterback, in a game? Of course, they're going to want a couple throws back and whatnot. But overall, just a really good effort by Mertz. To that matter, probably should include the offensive line. Wisconsin only gave up 1 sack. And then on top of that, this team really just kind of came together, on that end in the passing game. Danny Davis, Kendrick Pryor, 144 combined receiving yards, 1 touchdown each. Pryor had that great 25-yard contested catch in the end zone towards the end of the first half. And then Danny Davis, Pryor helps on that block. where Davis takes the ball, he takes a short pass, breaks a tackle, and then decides to go 72 yards to make that touchdown there. And you can always even include like Chimere Dike. He had 3 catches for 55 yards. And so that also, in my eyes, was a big thing for Wisconsin too, where you saw Jake Ferguson got in the act too. And so I'm trying to bring up his stats real quick. Everything's online, unfortunately. I don't have a paper copy. 2 receptions, 40 yards, was targeted 4 times. So Wisconsin really got the ball rolling on every facet. This is what we thought this passing attack could be in terms of complementing the run game. And I mentioned that before. So, but looking at the rushing attack, right? 15 carries and 129 yards for Braylon Allen, true freshman. The Big Ten Network crew mentioned a couple of times that he was dinged up during. That was the exact words of the play-by-play commentator for the Big Ten Network, saying he was dinged up earlier this week. But he still ran for 129 yards on 15 attempts, 1 touchdown. He had runs of 33, 28, and 36 yards, which helped. If you take a look at some of those stats breakdown, some of them were for no game or very minimal yardage. So those 3 carries really bolstered up that total. But that's what happens when you're a 6'2", 238-pound back that can get to that second and third level in terms of being hard to take down. I'd also throw in one for Ches Malusi just because of what he did. 75 yards on 15 carries, a touchdown himself. That 14-yard touchdown was his long for the day, but it was also the first score of the contest, and it's a lead that Wisconsin never gave up. So, and we still don't know, and I'm looking at this right now, and I apologize for not having this up, but this is from Raul Vasquez, who tweeted this out, and Zach Halper mentioned something similar when it came to that too. It is basically Chris said that they don't have any specifics on Malusi's injury. They're going to wait to find out more in the coming days. And Zach Halpern from WOSDN also mentioned the same thing there too. So we don't know the extent of, they're going to wait on that. They're going to wait to find out more in the coming days on Malusi's injury. So on that note, I guess maybe for that matter, these aren't game balls, but I'm still talking around here. When you take a look at what Julius Davis and what Jackson Aker did too. They combined for 56 yards on 10 carries, and Aker had that, his first career touch is an 18-yard touchdown. So that was quite the debut for the Verona, Wisconsin native. Verona, for those that don't know, is just down the block from, about 15 minutes away, I should say, from Camp Randall Stadium, and whatnot. So 15, 20 minutes away, depending upon where you live. So big games for them. Even Grover Bortolotti at the end, a walk-on from in-state, 40 yards on 3 carries. That's a 22-yard run. So, again, it's a big – that rushing attack was balanced, and then obviously when the game in hand, they kept going and they wore down Rutgers too. So that's what you want out of the offense. Let's take a look at the defense. And, again, another masterful effort. Rutgers, credit to them. They got a couple of big, I would call them bigger runs for what Wisconsin gives up to Isaiah Pacheco. But they held their ground. Again, another effort where, they came in allowing, I think it was like about 214 yards per game, almost 215. They only allowed 207 to Rutgers. Rushing allowed about 95, 3.2 yards per carry. Both were above the average, the annual average, but that's such a good average that there's going to be games where you're not going to hit that mark because Wisconsin came in averaging allowing about 50 per contest. Gave up almost double there, but again, this is what you want out of a defense where they stop the run, and Noah Vedral and Rutgers really could not get anything going. Passing 112 yards altogether. Vedral, for that matter, just taking a look at what he did, 8 of 16 passing for 81 yards, 2 interceptions, and Evan Simon, the freshman quarterback, 3 of 6, 25 yards. That fourth quarter interception that Jordan Turner had too. So this is a game where Wisconsin really took control, and they did what Wisconsin does on defense now. Only 2 sacks. They also had 7 tackles for loss, but there's, the key 1 of 11 on third downs. Wisconsin's one of the best in the nation in terms of giving up, or in terms of constricting opponents' ability to move the chains on that down. Did it once again on the road. The key, what you saw before though, let's go back to that, turnovers, 4, and 3 of them were by the defense. You saw one with right off the bat in that first quarter after Graham Mertz throws an interception. Noah Vedral throws one up, for those that saw that are either in the stands or watching the game, Noah Burks comes down with an easy interception, probably one of the easiest you'll see in my eyes, because one, Vedral did not see him, and then the way that it was thrown, it seemed light, went right into Burks' hands. A couple plays later, Malusi goes in for a touchdown, and then on top of that, you had Keanu Benton, who is a force in the defensive line, heads in and then disrupts the pass. Vedral heaves it up on the left side. It's intercepted by Caesar Williams. It's taken back 29 yards for a pick six, in a very crucial time for that matter too, where Wisconsin, they pulled away in that second half where they scored 24 points in that quarter, and that was, like I said, once again a key stretch in terms of scoring, because a couple things happened within that, and we'll talk about the turnovers with this too. Maybe we'll do this right now. This will be kind of our play of the game. We'll get to the defensive standouts in just a second, but the key sequence for this game really came, and it's part of this with the defensive standouts. You had Colin Larsh hitting the field goal, the 29-yard field goal, put up 10-3, and then on top of that, from there, Aaron Cruikshank goes for that kickoff return, injures himself. It looked like a right knee base, or I don't know if it was right knee, I should say. It probably looked like a right leg injury, the way that obviously he was helped off the sideline. And from there, Wisconsin took over. Jack Van Dyke, the kicker, was given the credit for the forced fumble, and Alexander Smith recovered it. And then 5 plays later, 29 yards later, John Chanel catches the 1-yard touchdown pass from Graham Mertz to make it, a big game there. And then, and from there, it's weird. The stats say that is weird. That is weird. It says 16-3 or 17-3 because Larsh hit the extra point from that. And then from there, they just took it, and that next play, the next play thereafter, after Wisconsin scores a touchdown, they get that pick six from Caesar Williams. And so you extend a game, by multiple scores within a matter of a few plays. That's obviously going to help on the road. And Rutgers, was its worst enemy. And Wisconsin's now starting to create these defensive turnovers. That's going to play a big role, and it's going to make them even more impressive, but also more daunting to try to take and try to contain. So, going to the defensive standouts, I looked down there, the tackles, Jack Sanborn, Leo Chanel, inside linebacker duo, probably the best in the nation. 16 combined tackles. Sanborn had a sack, for that matter, in the first half. Same with Nick Herbig. They're on the same drive. 1 sack, but Herbig also had 2 tackles for loss, 3 tackles overall. I mentioned Williams as well. Besides that interception, I thought he had that 1 pass breakup, but he had 2 tackles. I thought, once again, the 6-year senior is playing very well out on his island as a cornerback. And so you saw with Wisconsin, that you saw them really kind of go through or Rutgers for that matter, try to challenge. It looked like with Bull Melton, they tried going and having Scott Nelson on him, or they're trying to work their best receiver on a great mismatch. And Melton had that big, a 35-yard reception in the first quarter. In the first quarter. And so that was a big one that opened up, that helped Rutgers get that drive rolling. And then Wisconsin, of course, clamped down. They bent, they didn't break, and they went from there. So on that note, taking a look there, I guess, that was my key sequence of the game. Other big plays, obviously the touchdowns. I think that second quarter is probably almost a backbreaker, where Wisconsin scores 24 points. And, I guess looking for areas of improvement for Wisconsin, it's hard, with how they're playing. You're seeing Wisconsin dominate in terms of the defense and just such high expectations, right? There were some big plays through the air, a couple big plays through the air, I think they had 2, Rutgers did 2 chunk plays, they call them, and that went for 15 or more yards. One was that 35-yard reception from Vedral to Melton, and then Evan Simon hit one in the third quarter late to Isaiah Washington for 18. So those are only 2, and that's not necessarily a big deal. Wisconsin adapted quickly. The 2 rushing plays over 10 plus yards came from Isaiah Pacheco, who, maybe there's one area of improvement for Wisconsin's defense. You're looking at about, 16-yard gain and 23-yard gain. Overall, Pacheco had 9 carries, 55 yards. But Wisconsin, again, contained the Badgers did, the Scarlet Knights, in every facet in terms of just obviously the scoreboard is the biggest indicator, but other within the offense there, and they ran over them on defense. So things to watch next week. We'll keep this light and quick when it comes to this game. If you guys have any questions, feel free to lay these out. I would love to get any questions y'all have for Badger fans out there. We're right here. I'm waiting for y'all. Let me know what you guys are seeing on that. I'm going to check right now on that. And it's, like I said, this is going to be let's go through some post-game notes real quick on that because Wisconsin, let's take a look. Anyone else want to chat? Like I said, make sure you guys let us know there. I'm checking my forums right now if you have any questions on that. Some post-game notes. We'll read off a few from UW. That's where UW usually sends their post-game notes afterwards. On that note, Wisconsin, again, bowl eligible, 20th straight season. For that, very much a huge huge accomplishment for this program compared to where it was in the late 90s or late 80s, I should say. They only trail Georgia and Oklahoma in terms of active bowl streaks, according to UW. Of course, the all-time mark for Wisconsin, 4-0 over Rutgers. And, of course, they're 2-0 at Camp Randall Stadium. They're 2-0 at SHI Stadium in Piscataway. And then let's look through this. I would say, Graham Mertz, all these notes are according to UW in their post-game notes. Graham Mertz, his 72-yard touchdown pass to Danny Davis is his career long in terms of a touchdown reception. Obviously, Davis did a lot of that work after the pitch and catch, but also it's Mertz's first multi-touchdown pass game of the season, and it's his third overall. The two of them came last year, 2020, after the Illinois game. Then also he had one against Michigan. He had a multi-touchdown game against Michigan a few weeks later. Taking a look at other things. Let's see. Yeah, no, that's basically about it for Wisconsin, in terms of more game notes there. Jake Ferguson, of course, this is the big streak for him. 2 catches for 40 yards on Saturday. And then, he's caught one pass in each of his 43 career games as a Badger. And of course, he's second in the FBS to Justin Hall from Ball State. So quite the mark. He's still leaving as he is in, obviously in huge acclaim. And even, UW points out 1,423 career receiving yards right now. He's 20th on UW's career list, and he's 4th amongst tight ends. He's closing in on Garrett Graham, actually. He's only, about 69 yards. Yeah, he's 69 yards from Garrett Graham, third all-time for tight ends in terms of receiving yards. So, and then taking a look at that, other than that, it's, Noah Burks with this interception is the third of his career, and Nick Herbig with that sack today is now has 7 on the season. So along with 2 more tackles for loss to his name. And what we'll do with this too, folks, no more comment. I'm not seeing any comments. We'll probably leave it like this, and we'll take it home from there on the BadgerBlitz.com, post-game show. We want to call it that, or Badger Blitz TV post-game show. Feel free, we'll get this out more, and feel free to ask more questions. Let us know how we can improve this. And for that matter, let's take a look at maybe things to watch, I would say, for Wisconsin. Really just one would be the injuries this week in terms of Wisconsin releases a preliminary status report each Monday morning along with the depth chart. We'll see what it says about Ches Malusi. We'll see what it says about Jack Nelson, who obviously went down during the game, was ruled as out thereafter, and kind of, scary sight. But, obviously he looked okay. He was for those that watched the game, I'm sure those that were at the game too maybe saw him on the sidelines in street clothes or, just regular clothes, no uniform from there. And those are the 2 big names. And I think the one thing to watch next week is, you'll see in our 3-2-1 column that we have where I list 3 things we learned this weekend, 2 things that, we have questions about, and 1 prediction. One of the 2 questions will be just, who may need to step up at running back if that Malusi injury requires him to lead, to miss time. That's going to be a question to answer. And, I think we saw some answers possibly with Julius Davis running the ball hard. I think like he finished with 32 yards on 7 carries. Grover Bortolotti finished with 5 carries for 48 yards. For that matter, and just even like, I guess one question too, in terms of questions, like, I don't know if it'll be seen on the preliminary injury report, or preliminary status report is what Wisconsin calls it. But Marcus Allen, I thought he looked really solid in his like kind of extended action during the, call it mop-up time, garbage time. Officially, he had 2 receptions for 34 yards. That included a long of 22, but he also ran the ball once for 4 yards, even though his first carry, collegiate touch, it looked like a long carry off a jet sweep, and he looked good in it, and got called back because of a penalty. So that to me kind of looked sharp for him in my eyes in terms of what he could provide on that end. So again, a lot of positives, but we'll see. Just there are questions going forward, and we'll see what happens with Iowa and Northwestern right now, or in Evanston facing off at night, and so. Again, we'll see just how the Wildcats look. But for that matter, we'll let this go. What you guys can do, if you guys can just do us a big favor, right? I already got 1 up there. Can you please give us a thumbs up on that? We'd love to have y'all like this, and we'll do more of these as these progress. But feel free to, again, like, subscribe. That helps us build our brand further. On top of that, we want to make this, we want to make this as we have a lot of things going forward in terms of ideas for this type of show, in terms of live streams with recruiting, with football, with basketball coming up, especially with Ben Wargel, our basketball beat writer. We'll have like a lot of fun stuff going on with that. On top of that, too, we'll have, with us just overall for BadgerBlitz.com. Find us on Facebook, Wisconsin Badgers on BadgerBlitz.com. On Twitter, for me, it's at Jake Coco. It's and then also it is at Badger_Blitz for all that. But thanks for tuning in. I'm not seeing any comments or anything. Like I said, we'll try to be more interactive with this going forward, and try to do this more after post games. For sure, we'll do them on away games in all likelihood if we're not there in Piscataway. Raul Vasquez is down there. Like I said, make sure he'll have a couple of articles going up in the next couple days, or next day or so, I should say, probably in the next 12 hours. We'll have that. And then, obviously we'll have a lot more coming up on BadgerBlitz.com this week. I'm Jake Okarowski. Thank you again for watching. Take care. Be well. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, especially y'all up here in the Midwest where it's supposed to be pretty nice. And hopefully I'll be able to get outside for some 65-degree weather here in Madison. But y'all be well. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.